Hi, welcome today where we are going to be taking a look at the first real acoustic guitar that I ever purchased. And I purchased this brand new. This was made in 1992, and I honestly don't remember the year. I might have bought it in 92, might have bought it in 93. Somewhere in there. And this is the Ovation Elite model 1868. Sunburst, Shallow Bowl. It has the OP-24 Preamp system, which I believe stands for Ovation Preamp, OP. And I'm pretty sure that they made these at their factory in Hartford, Connecticut. And right now, we are going to just do a kind of a natural acoustic sound demo using a very basic condenser mic. The Ovation Guitar Company I believe the gentleman's name was Hartley Kaman. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. I'll put all the details, not all the details, I'll put these details down in the description box below this video. But he was of the opinion, he was a guitar player, but he was the owner and I think man behind Kaman or Kaman, I think it's Kaman company, and he was into aeronautics. They were making the blades for helicopters, and they were doing that out of composite type materials, and they were fine-tuning them to get rid of any wobbles and things like that, is what I understand. He was a guitar player. He was of the opinion that the guitar needed some updating. And I'm glad he did. I'm an electric guitar player. I started on an electric guitar because that was the kind of music that I wanted to play. I didn't want to play country music. I didn't want to play classical. I didn't want to play fingerstyle or anything like that. Occasionally I'll do some finger picking, that type of thing, but not very often. And whenever I would try an acoustic guitar, they stuck out too far because of the depth. They just, you know, they felt like you're, I don't know, they were uncomfortable to me. They weren't in my natural playing position coming from a thin-bodied electric guitar, because that's mostly what I played. Maybe a semi-hollow, but back at that time it was strictly thin body, solid body electric guitars is what I was playing. And I walked into a music store here in Corvallis, and this was hanging on the wall, and I would take it down every so often. I would go there frequently and play it a little bit, and I finally broke down and bought it. It has a slight V, well, maybe not so slight. There's a fairly substantial V-shaped neck. It feels so much like you're playing kind of that vintage Strat or S-style guitar. Kind of a smaller electric feel on the neck, very much so. Doesn't have quite as much of an angle back on the headstock. The strings, because of the headstock design, it's got a little bit straighter string pull. It seems to hold its tune better, even though I'm not doing much in the way of bending on something like this. Has a 5-piece neck, and excuse me for not knowing what the materials are. This was a long time ago, and it's kind of hard to access that kind of stuff. The back is Lyrachord or Lyrachord, which is kind of a fiberglass composite that they developed, and it's rounded because they felt the best sound projection and reflection came from rounding the back, so it would help to vibrate that top more. The early days, they did a lot of their own design of fan bracing. There was so much that I liked about this, I went ahead and bought it. It was one of the few brand new guitars that I have ever purchased. Never been sorry. Other than, oh, and this does not have neck binding, you'll notice. 22 frets down to this kind of long point there. It has sort of a curved sided triangles for the fret markers. A little bit subtle, but pretty fancy. Solid spruce top with the multi-hole or multi-sound hole design that they had come up with. Epaulets using different types of wood on here. Thin veneer type deals that are onto the top, set onto the top just to help reinforce those holes. Binding around the top has an access hole here that is removable if you need to do change or make adjustments to the truss rod in the neck. I bought this new. It was set up for me. I have never touched it. This guitar usually resides right now at my youngest son's house, and I had him bring it back so that I could do this video and one more that I'm going to do, because I wanted to show you my beginnings into an acoustic electric guitar. Much more electric feel than anything else I had ever tried. And I'm not much of a fan of those thin-bodied guitars. I've never liked the sound of those much. This one, and this is just picking it up through my lapel mic right now. Nice sound, nice sound. Some people don't like the rounded back because it doesn't sit flat. I've never had a problem at all with the shallow bowl. And that's why I got the shallow bowl, because it felt more natural to me in my playing positions. So hold on just a minute. I'm going to put a battery in here and we're going to listen to what the preamp, the OP-24 Preamp, does. Be right back. Okay, we're back. And turn on the DAW. So the OP-24 Preamp that came with this was before they made the one called the Plus that is in my Ovation Standard Balladeer. This it's just direct. It does have a 3-band EQ right now. Those are set right in the middle, not adding or cutting any of the frequencies. Got a very, very, very low action for an acoustic guitar. Plays like an electric. I love this. I love this. The neck has not moved, I don't think, since I bought it. Evidently, I might be one of the lucky ones. I've heard people complain about that they can't reset the neck very nicely. It can be done, but I believe there have to be shims involved in that. This has stayed well. The whole time it was with me, it lived in its case when it wasn't being played. I didn't have it out in changing climates of rooms and houses and heaters and all that type of thing. It was protected in its hard shell case. I don't know if I mentioned Rosewood fretboard, Rosewood bridge. I think these have like some pins that go down through the soundboard into like a base plate or something like that. on the other side, underside of the solid spruce top. I believe it's Sitka spruce is what they were using mostly back then. It has their high output Piezo pickup system. It's wider than what many people call a thin line, which is more of a it might be slightly compensated saddle. This one is compensated slightly more, but it is supposed to have a better transmission of vibration to those contact points on the piezo crystals or whatever it is. Loved this guitar. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is just kind of a basic look. I am going to bump up the bass just a little tiny bit. I'm going to drop the treble just a little tiny bit, and I'm going to bump up the treble just a little tiny bit, and we're going to do just a little bit more of a sound demo. My Ovation 1868 Elite, made in 1992. V-neck, shallow bowl, high output, Ovation Piezo system. I believe all this was made in-house back then in Hartford, Connecticut, where this was made. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed me getting to take, maybe not a last look, but getting this back into my hands again. Kind of nostalgic. All of my early playing and recording and things like that on an acoustic guitar were done on this guitar. I did have, I think, one other, well, no. Before this, I had a real basic acoustic guitar that I was never happy with, and I was never happy with anything I would pick up off the wall until I grabbed this. It was an eye-opening experience. It was like, oh my, that's amazing. And back then, many of my favorite guitarists in many groups were playing Ovation guitars. They were the standard of live music performing on an acoustic guitar live. This design with the multi-sound hole was one that helped to reduce feedback more so than the balladeer type series that Ovation also produces with the more traditional large round sound hole. Glenn Campbell was the person, probably one of the first people that really latched onto the Ovation guitar. For the most part, I think he started with one that was strictly acoustic, round sound hole, and you can buy it today, I think, a Glenn Campbell model, if I remember correctly. It lasted most of the Ovation history, throughout most of that. Thank you again for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. There's a bell down over there that you need to click on so that you can be notified the next time I post a video. It could be reviewing an instrument from my collection, could be taking a first look at something that comes new to be added to my musical toolbox. Most of what I do, however, is centered around the Native American style flute. That kind of gets the spotlight shown on it. Could be solo, it could be with many other types of instruments. Guitar was my first instrument, main instrument of choice. It still plays a big part in my music, and the Native American flute almost took over. For a while I didn't touch a guitar for many years when I started playing the Native American style flute. And they're convenient, they're easy in its basic form. I do have tutorials on how to play the Native American style flute, and both basic and kind of going beyond those basics, if you're interested. But I do a lot of music videos that showcase not only the Native American style flute, but they do kind of take center stage many other types of instruments. I do a little bit of keyboard, mostly guitar, and I've got many different types of guitars that will cycle through my music videos. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.